When we think of crap hitting the fan, we think of like bullets, marauders attacking our home as the things that are going to kill us. And that's a very real possibility. And it's the worst case scenario we're looking at. But I want you to understand that our thoughts about this is much worse than you think, because it's not necessarily an outside force, but something other channels, I've never seen it on another channel anyway, talk about. It's not these things coming into your home that you actually have to worry about. That's not it at all. And this video is going to prove that to you. And I hope you listen through this video and stay through it, because it's going to give you some valuable information in surviving whatever might come. And take it from me, I've been in some of the worst scenarios, and having a mindset is the key, because mental impact and toll on you, that in itself literally can and often does kill you. Mental. Think about this. We stockpile beans and rice, or canned food, right? It lasts indefinitely, right? Because it lasts forever. I mean, you could like stockpile TV dinners that go in your freezer. Why don't you? I mean, first of all, they're terrible food, but you don't do it because they don't last forever, right? You want to put everything into something that's going to last forever. In other words, the long haul. So we stockpile our homes for the long haul. Do you stockpile your mind for the long haul? And this is what people don't realize, that when you're put into a really dangerous situation, we can deal with things very well in a short term. But ever been in something like a traffic accident, for example? When you're done, you're all shaking and you're like, oh my gosh, what would happen if that traffic accident, metaphorically speaking, lasted for years? Think about that. What would your life be like if you went through years and years and years of turmoil? In America, we've had things relatively comfy and cozy here, but understand Europe, World War II lasted, depending on what people look at it, 6 years. Can you imagine living in Europe for 6 years under Nazi control or constant fighting right outside your home? Your friends and family, even some people in your immediate family, maybe kids killed in your family. 6 years of this. But in America, we talk about, I'm okay with all this happening because I got rice and beans. That doesn't make sense. We want to make sure that we're actually prepared for what's coming. Very well for what's coming. Because how many people died in World War II? And what did they die from? Of course, they died from bullets. But there's a massive amount of population. I forgot the number of people, civilian population, who died from starvation and hunger. Lots of them. Of course, when we look as far as the deaths, a lot of it simply came from, ready for this, and here's the key in the moral of the story, they came from people giving up. Now, we're not talking about giving up and surrendering to the Nazis or vice versa. And obviously, if you're starving to death, you can only give up so much and say, well, you know what, I give up and I'm going to die. But when it comes to survival and having a survival mental attitude is the key to survival, you're always going to have things like bullets killing you or starvation killing you. But I want you to understand that a lot of deaths occur because the people already lost hope in their mind. They already gave up. This is the biggest killer that you can overcome, because you can't necessarily dodge a bullet coming your way or a war heading for your neighborhood. But your mind is free. You keep your mind where you want it to be. And instead of just stockpiling food and sitting in your armchair saying all my beans and stuff are going to save my butt, they're not going to. Shocker, you're going to die from that. You need to start developing the mindset now. Because understand, if our grid goes down at the very least, 90% of the population will die. Not from starvation. They think it's from starvation, not from war. I mean, there may be a war, somebody attacking us. But because people lose hope, that's what is going on. Because you'll have this family that literally may have like a week's worth of food in their pantry. I think most people have probably a week. I've met some people, they literally just every day they go out shopping. But I think most people a week, it may not be like the most glamorous dinner, but a week later they're like, hey, the grocery stores are still out of food and our electricity is not coming back on, and what's going on here? And I've got kids, and that next door neighbor, that guy over there who helped you mow your lawn and trim your hedges, is suddenly now banging on your door and wanting some food because they didn't have enough sense. No, they closed their eyes when it comes to stockpiling and preparedness. Regardless, whatever happened, the problem is now they want your food. And you may be kind and give them some food. That's always dangerous, because at the very least, they may come back for more. Worst case scenario, they'll take it from you with violence. So in this situation, 90% of the people will die because after a week, a couple weeks of no food, no groceries, nothing, their starvation is a huge motivator for violence. I dare you to research history when it comes to problems in third world countries. It's almost always with food supplies. Think about that. Food supplies are gone. Violence comes next. And if we see our incredible infrastructure in America die because our power went out for good, the violence is going to come. So you having beans and rice isn't going to save you. In fact, in reality, think about this. That's what's going to kill you, because you have those rice and beans and people will violently try to take that from you. So if you think literally you're just going to sit back and, you know what, I've got a solar generator, somebody can't hear me so I can watch my reruns of Netflix and play cards and ride out the apocalypse for the next 7 years happily, you're sadly mistaken. So what happens? People will start pounding on your door. It's going to be a constant marauder situation. It's going to be constantly people coming after you, constantly watching every move. That stress alone, that loss of hope for you, not your neighbor who has no food, for you. Because, we think in our mind, I can go through a few weeks of this. But have you gone through a few weeks of this? I'm not talking about that power. I'm talking about in a violent combat situation, months of this, years of this. Of course you haven't. Most people have not gone through years of anything like that, let alone even a few months. And you're going to lose hope. So listen to this. In my school, I teach my kids, I have lots of adults, they're my students, to spar, to fight. And we actually do sparring where it's, competition sparring, which I love, but we also teach flat out brutal self-defense, specifically Krav Maga, Muay Thai. I teach all that stuff. It's fantastic stuff. And one of the things that we have that I tell them all the time, we have data, we have statistics. It actually comes from the FBI, where if you can fight for 60 seconds, then you're going to probably get the attacker off of you. Because understand, attackers in these peaceful times, they just are looking for something easy. They want an easy target. And when they come after you and they realize, man, this is not worth it. And that's what happens even in military forces too. When you have a military occupation, you may not be able to beat that occupation forcefully, but you make it so the soldiers, you fight against them constantly, and their morales will start going down. Like, why am I even here? But especially if somebody's attacking you. But if we're talking about in a situation where your life depends on it, and it's going to be more than 60 seconds because that person needs your food, this is not simply just motivated to steal some pocket change. This person will try to fight you to the death. And I get it. People don't want to fight. They're scared to fight. But here's what else I tell my students too. You get into a fight, you better get in there and get in the thick of it. But people get the fear of, I don't want to get punched. I don't want to get stabbed. All this stuff. You're going to get punched or stabbed anyway. You realize this? They're going to come after you anyway. So you need to get in the fight. And you need to take the offensive in those situations, not defensive. You can't stop the attack. It's coming, so you may as well defend yourself. But that's not the biggest thing. I want you to really hear me out. You have limited resources around you. The grocery stores are down, gas stations are down, and the marauders are at your door. It's dark. It's cold. You're constantly getting attacks. Your friends are dead. Maybe even your family is dead. You're all alone. It's quiet. Well, maybe not quiet when they're pounding on your door, but at night you're listening for every little sound because you don't know what's coming next. Here you are curled up in the fetal position in the corner. Let's see how long that lasts you for 6 years. You will start to question why even bother keep fighting. You don't think that World War II lasted 6 years. I don't care how long you've been in this crap hits the fan situation. You're going to be thinking in your mind, this is going to last forever and this is never going to stop. That is the mentality that kicks in people's minds in these situations that they'll even tell you. You always watch it in the news. Oh, how'd you feel like getting caught in the avalanche? I thought I would never get out. The survivors don't lose hope. That's the first important lesson. We have to make sure we have hope. Listen to me carefully. You will lose hope, so you have to make sure you understand that you're going to make it out. You're going to make it out. You're going to make it out. But you just have to understand it's not going to be a day. It's a long haul. There was an admiral shot down, an aviation admiral shot down in Vietnam and went to the Hanoi Hilton for years. I forgot how long. And he said that, and he actually developed like a homemade Morse code system so all the prisoners could talk to each other. Fantastic story, by the way. Wish I could remember his name right now. I'm sure in the comments somebody will put their name because I have the most educated, intelligent viewers ever. But it's incredible because he set it up so they could talk to each other, and he found that the people who died were the optimists. This is very interesting because the optimists, he's like, why would they die? You think they actually would be the ones who survive because we're talking about having hope. They actually had too much hope because it'd be like, hey guys, we got shot down. I'll be taken care of. I'll be out of here by Christmas. Christmas is going to come and gone. We'll be out of here by, the 4th of July. It would come and go. We'll be out of here at Thanksgiving. It would never happen. Then they would lose hope. And because they lost hope, they would die. It's all up here. It's all in your mind. And so this admiral said, listen, I don't have any hope at all. I'm just going day by day, and we're doing this for the long haul. So think about this. There we are again. We stockpile rice and beans and canned food to last forever. You also need to stockpile your mind to make it last forever. When crap hits the fan, you cannot put yourself in a situation where you think it's going to end soon. It's time to dig in and get ready for this very long, cold, dark, lonely, violent thing that's going to take place on your front door. It's going to be a long haul. Okay. So every survivor will tell you that they literally made it. So they tell themselves, I'm going to get out of this. I'm not going to give up. Because once you give up, it's interesting. Your body, physiologically speaking, knows when you give up, and therefore you will die. That's what happens. So people think that your psyche, your psychological aspect of your brain is not connected to your body. Oh, absolutely, they're connected. And once you start losing hope, well, then all the rest is lost too, and down you go. So are you ready for this? I know we're stockpiling food. Of course we're stockpiling food. That's what we do, is stockpile food. But you need to start preparing mentally. Have you started doing that? It's very important, because I want you to understand bad times are coming. We are in a situation where our economy is unsustainable. Our economy is going to crash, and there's nothing now that anybody can do to stop that. It is going to crash. Listen to me. It is going to crash. Send us at the very least into a Great Depression, a greater depression than last time, into World War III. Can you think about what's going to happen if the grid goes down? All of those are very real possibilities. In fact, there are books out right now saying our grid will go down. The way it is right now anyway, if you have the right type of coronal mass ejection, which we're in a solar maximum right now, it is going to crash it. It's going to go down. And it's not the rice and beans that's going to save you. This is going to save you. You have to prepare mentally. Thanks for watching, everybody.